hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
Join us in the pledge, please. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business tonight is the approval of the minutes from the September the 17th meeting.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we have a presentation tonight from Kelsey Hall of the Theater.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for having me. We have a really exciting month coming up. We're getting ready for Halloween, so one of our busiest times of the year. This Friday on the 19th, we're showing The Sixth Sense at 7 and 9:30. On Saturday, the 20th, The Nightmare Before Christmas at 1, 4, and 7 p.m. And then next week, on October 26th, is our first annual Spirits and Screams Halloween fundraiser event, where we will show Halloween, It, The Babadook. There will be a paranormal investigation overnight at the theater, and we'll have a Halloween party with live music from local band Gemma. Our sponsors are Southern Nights, who's going to be catering the event, Modern Woodman, Commonwealth Broadcasting, West Banco, and United Bank. So really appreciate all the support from the community on that event as well. And then on October 27th, we are showing The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, which is a favorite every year at 1, 4, and 7 p.m. And then on the 31st, we'll be doing Trunk or Treat at the parking lot. And they have sponsored Coco for free. And we'll be showing that at 7 p.m. with Spanish subtitles.
Right. Hey, you all have any questions? Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Terry, would you like to introduce our next?
Sure.
We have some special guests this evening with really, really good news, and Terry Shipp would like to introduce them.
Well, sure, it's my pleasure, Mayor. You know, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've really had the pleasure of being on the airborne, and I know at one time you were the liaison.
And it is a pleasure.
It is really, it's indeed a pleasure. You learn so much. Not only do you have to learn everything about the FAA and the ILS and glide slopes and IRFs and FRIs and everything else, but it's a wonderful committee to be a part of and to sit on, and I have really enjoyed my time there. When I first started there, Chairman Joe Yates, who lived and breathed airport stuff and all things aviation, did a wonderful job. And Chairman Donnie Wise is doing an equally wonderful job. And I won't introduce all of his team other than just introduce them as the airport, and then I'll let Donnie introduce them individually if you'd like to. But it's truly been a pleasure. I'll tell you one thing. You've got to remember that these are volunteers. They do not get paid. They do not get a stipend. They do this for nothing in return other than our thanks. And I'll tell you, I want to thank you guys because I know how hard that you guys work. And we've got a great airport, and it's because of your efforts. And so I'm delighted to have you guys here today to make your annual presentation. And I think, are we going to move up here?
Yeah.
So we'll move up here, Don, and you can bring your group up, and then you all can get started.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you this evening and share with you one day about what's going on at the airport. And we believe that we're optimistic about a lot of things that are going on here. First, I'd like to introduce to you the board, I guess, here is Eddie Burgess, who serves as the treasurer. And let me tell you, Eddie certainly earns his stripes. I think he's retired now at least twice, and he may be thinking about it the third time. But he's the hardest working guy that we ever wanted to be around. He's always at. He presents those financials. He works hard on that. I can always count on Eddie about the first or second work day of the month. In my inbox is going to come that treasury report. And believe me, there's more to keeping up with all those grants and payables and receivables, and some of it comes from the state, some of it comes from the federal level, some of it comes from local, but it's all in detail and a lot to keep up with. So, Eddie, my appreciation to you for being part of that. Also, our vice chairman for the board is Carl Swope, and Carl plays an important role in that, in addition to being a pilot and has a love and passion for aviation. He's very active in the things that go on at the airport, and he wants us to be the very best that we can be. That's his encouragement to us. John Clemens is also one of our board members, and he's the guy that his middle name is ILS. So he's going to tell you a little bit about what it means, what the ILS stands for, and how it affects our local area. Also, we have Don Cox. I think Don may be one of the newest members here, but Don has a career in aviation as a pilot for Southwest, does some social pastoral work for a local church here, and so he's active in the community as well as his flying time. Let's see, who about this? But then, Willie. What about Mr. Willie Wood? Willie Wood, we wouldn't be here tonight probably without Willie. Willie's been a major encouragement to us to get some things done in the airport, and he's played an integral role in being a part of that. So Willie, we appreciate when the lay of the land kind of gets a little fuzzy or cloudy, Willie's the guy that kind of helps us sort it out. These are the decision makers and how things work at City Hall, and he's been certainly a major asset to us too. And then also we have our airport manager, Roger Lawson. Roger's been doing this for 2 or 3 years now. He is, when we think about airplanes, Roger has really truly touched a lot of the lives that's in this room tonight. When you think somebody, they convey to you a passion for aviation and a passion for flying, a lot of times you can trace those roots back to Roger. And he's just a wealth of knowledge. And always when anything happens in aviation, you generally go to Roger and ask for some, what we call an expert advice. There might be a plane crash somewhere, and you say, what caused that? Generally, Roger's got a pretty good idea about what caused that crash. Generally, he says it's never, hardly ever, just one single thing. It's a group of things that tie themselves together and create a catastrophe or an accident. So we certainly are appreciative of the opportunity to work with the board. The part that I play is a great stand on the beach of aviation. When these guys put forth the work and they're there every day, and they bring so much to the table when a question is asked about the expertise, and we're going to share some of that information with you tonight later on. But that's a little bit about our group that's here with you this evening. Don, if you want to move us over to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about what we want to talk about. I think it's important at this particular juncture. This might be the last opportunity we have to come before this mayor and this city council in this particular setting. We do look forward to being with you, though. It's been a great opportunity. Mayor, we do appreciate your time that you spent with us as a liaison to the city council. I gave you a lot of background and information, but we also appreciate your support as mayor, because without the city's support, we wouldn't be here doing the things, talking about the things we're going to talk about tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the history of the airport. We'll talk about the points of community pride. We think when you find that you have pride in something, a lot of times you have what's called sweat equity. You're invested in it. You want to be a part of something. And use proprietary terms when you start talking about this is our whatever the item or topic you're talking about. It's ID and mine and ours. And we want to be a part of something. And you use proprietary terms when you start talking about this is our whatever the item or topic you're talking about. It's ID and mine and ours. And we want to be a part of something. And I want to talk a little bit about the airport facilities and the services that are provided there. I'll give you an update on what the operations have generated this year as far as trackable takeoff and landing. We want to review an annual construction report that goes back from 2008 to 2018, tell you about the projects that's been completed there. An update on the ILS, and some quotes for some different folks, and some ongoing improvements. And then with a wholehearted thanks, we want to say thanks to the city council for all they've done. Go to the next slide. If you all recall, some of you that I'm sure remember Glen Floyd Field. It was the original municipal airport for Elizabethtown. It was built somewhere, I believe it might have been around in the 50s. Roger may know about that, I do for sure, but I think it was certainly in there in the 60s with a 28-foot grass strip that was later paved into a 70-foot wide asphalt runway. And then back in the 70s, they started talking about the Glen Floyd Field not being adequate. And we've got some legal notices and public notices about in the early 70s, 73, 74, that efforts were being made to establish a new airport. 1982 took about 9 to 10 years for that, for those wants and dreams to come true. But they opened with a 4,000-foot runway. 1984, 85, they added a 1,000-foot extension. In the early 90s, they added another 1,000-foot. We believe today that it is 6,000 feet. That's what we quoted as anyway. Also, want to share with you a quote that was provided to me by Walton County. I've been in this town very long, a few weeks or months, and had an opportunity to meet Walton one day as we were talking about the community and reflecting on what made it a great community. Walton gave me a little piece of advice that I found to be true. He said, when you stretch your goal a little bit beyond the reason what conservative people might think you should do, you'll find that this community is getting more. And when I pause and reflect on that, I've thought about it a number of times. And when I think about those sage words that he said that day, it really moved me. It did that day, and it has since then. And here's a legal notice that we talked about earlier, the Elizabethtown Hardin County Airport back in what's that date up there, 73, that they published a public notice about a hearing that was going to be held about establishing a new airport here in Elizabethtown. So the history is deep, it goes back a long ways. And so let's see the next slide. Here's some of the things that I think this community has pride about. And I think, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know, but I think it's important to acknowledge things that you have made a sacrifice for. You know, the community college, remember 1964, went way out in the country, and a group of individuals raised enough money to establish a community college. Hardin Memorial Hospital, we have, a lot of folks don't have a hospital like that. And we're proud to be a part of that. Industrial Foundation, think about all the things that our Industrial Foundation has done. What are the jobs? I have a little saying that says, the only thing that separates middle class America from the homeless is the job. So you think about the value of that. You think about your tourism board, your sports park. You think you might have stretched your goal just a little bit when you built that sports park. Think about the Central Kentucky Community Foundation and their commitment to continuing education. The city that's here, and its mayor and the city councilman, the vision and foresight, a police department that you're very proud of, I'm sure, a fire department, the public works. What makes these things great is the commitment that you folks make to providing the tools and continuing education to make these things a value-added reason for being a part of this Hardin County. Plain and I know you have comments made about their stormwater project. I mean, days and months and weeks with the roads all tore up while you were fixing all that, but it is a great resource and asset today. The state need, think about how many communities don't have a state. The farmers market that we're all, glad to go. I know I will go down there on Saturday sometime. It's a great experience to go down there and be able to talk to somebody and know where your product or produce came from. I'll go over next time. And we're going to talk a little bit about the current facility there. It's a 6,001 foot, 100 foot wide asphalt runway with parallel taxiways. There's GPS approaches. Localized, there's that huge big twin structure that you see on the end of Kitty Hawk Drive down there, Ring Road. So you can land where that localizer, I understand, and then that DLE, I believe that's a distance measurement equipment if your aircraft is so equipped with that. We approach there on runway 5. And as we said, Roger is a historian of aviation and a great resource and asset to our airport and our board also. We also have a fixed base operator there with the County Flying Service. And the services they provide, we'll hear a little more about later. Don's going to talk about that. But if you all haven't had an opportunity, recently we were able to update our website. You know, when people come to your community today, many times they don't know about your community than you do yourself. So part of what we try to do is to keep updated information out there. And Donna, you can go to that boost. We'll go through the whole thing for you, but we'll show you some of the pages there and some of the aspects of the one in particular that I think is important to take a look at for you. One next to it. All right, there's the landing page, and you got some information there about if you go up to Traveler, the whole library of videos there that talk about the positive aspects of the geographic region we're in, that we're within about a day's travel of 2/3 of the population of the United States. Then if you go into business, it goes into, it'll tell you that we have the Skydive Kentucky, one of the things that's there. That's about 5 minutes long. I'm not sure if we got time to go through that or not. But hopefully, there's a link there for Skydive Kentucky, and then there's also a link there for their methods. What I want to share with you about Air Methods is we'll get to there in a few minutes, but Air Methods has a subscription or membership plan. We hear stories about people that get airlifted to one of the emergency rooms in Louisville or other locations, and what that cost. A lot of times you hear numbers like, well, it costs $30-some thousand or $42,000 for a 17-minute helicopter ride. And when you, if you go out to Air Methods, if you're going to talk about that, there is a subscription out there on their website. You go to our website, you link right to that, you go to Air Methods, and it talks about the membership. Now, I think the annual membership for a single person is like $40, and for a family it's like $75. So.
For $40 a year, you get.
You get a membership that they agree to accept whatever your insurance company pays. So if you have someone, one of your citizens, talk about what you do, then many times, you know, you're involved in an accident and maybe you don't make that decision to get in that helicopter. You're not the one that said, hey, put me in a helicopter, I want to go to Louisville someplace. It's, but it's there, there's membership there, there's applications for, it's under the membership, under the link that goes to Air Methods. There's also, if you want to put your field of interest, you want to register for Skydive Kentucky, there's a link out there, it'll take you right to there, and you can get a reservation there to go skydiving. So, and there's also a link there to E-Town Flying Service. And they just do, you know, such a wonderful service. We're glad that you look at the airport, we're trying to land that EKX. If you remember, hadn't been too long ago since the signage had gotten a little longer. We needed to place that sign out at Ring Road, the awnings, and the lettering and the numbers that's on the building there gives us quite a good identification. We're certainly proud to be a part of that brand and keeping EKX and the town Redford adding to be in the forefront of people's minds when we think about aviation on Fort Platte. So, moving back to our slide, PowerPoint there. Go to the next slide. All right, this is going to be Don Cox's portion of the agenda today. We'll talk a little bit about what's available at the Elizabethtown Airport.
Anything to get out of the slides. It's a junior guy's job. I'm going to talk to you about some of the services that we have. You know, our goal on the board is to be the best general aviation airport in Kentucky. And we have the resources and the major building blocks to be there. And there's aircraft storage, there's parking, there's hangars. Actually, we're almost run 100% on our hangar rentals, so pretty much full. We have a fuel farm that you can get fuel 24 hours a day. We have self-service, full service. The self-service is 24 hours. And it's a great advantage to be able to fly a little airplane in and at any time and be able to fuel it yourself, not have to wait on anybody. Next slide. There's aircraft rental. I have to tell you, in 1986, I just got out my logbook and I took my wife on the first time after I got my private license in one of Rogers airplanes. It was one of its Warriors. And so I wanted to share that with you. That was in 1986, January the 11th. So I just looked it up. But there's car rental services, all the services you see there. But I want to go beyond that. We don't realize, a lot of us don't realize how important it is to have an airframe and power plant and an avionics shop here in our facility. Everywhere, Amelia, my daughter, is flying. She's 18 and she's flying. We've been flying around the state a little bit, flying and getting gas and talking to people. And I can't tell you how many people have expressed their opinion to me that I wish we had some kind of maintenance shop on our airport. It's a huge value for us, and it's a big blessing that we have it right here. Me and two other guys and myself started an aviation club here. We just had $9,500 worth of work done on our airplane. We had to bring it up to standards because we bought an older airplane. We had to bring it up to modern standards for the avionics. We got to do that right here in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. We never had to fly our airplane out. It was right here, and that's such a blessing for us. And I want us all to realize that that brings a lot to the table. So when you talk about all the things that we have to offer here, we're so close. If we can get the ILS in and some other things that we're going to talk about, we will be the best general aviation airport in the state of Kentucky, without a doubt. That's all I've got time.
Okay.
Do I have to do more slides?
Back to the slide. Before we go on, there's, I think in that picture, we want to point out one thing that's extremely important. That is the pad, that's the concrete pad that's been added to the taxiway and the ramp. And, you know, a few years ago, those two planes that there would have sank in the asphalt there on the apron. So today, we have a nice concrete apron. That was one of the projects that we also want to talk a little bit. I want to regress back a little bit, talk a little bit more about the Florida view. Remember how we, things in life can be affected. One day in June 1979, Mr. Bobby Cooper, which a lot of you all know, and his son Rob, who's now a co-worker with Don Cox here at Southwest Airlines, went on to become a very career that's very valued, well respected. They took off from, by the way, Rob just got his pilot's license about a week before. They took off from Floyd Field and spent 17 days traveling around Europe with a little, I think it was a Cessna 182 that had been retrofitted with two 55-gallon auxiliary fuel tanks to be able to fly the distance and have the fuel to go the distance. And when you think about that, you know, that was quite a feat. That was before iPads and iPhones and GPS systems. It would be quite a feat today. It would be for me, certainly. I'm not sure about Eddie and Don, but it just shows you the impact that aviation has on the future. And sometimes it has an impact on others as well. And Eddie, I want you to come and tell a little story about your interaction with BenFlyOver.
We talk a lot about how important the airport is to local industry, Fort Knox, other communities, but we hardly ever talk about the impact it has on individuals like me, or Don Cox, or Carl, or fellow pilots. For example, back in the early 70s, 1972 to be exact, I was working in Naval Ordnance Station up in Louisville, a graphic arts illustrator. I had my degree in education, I had a high school teacher certificate, majored in art and sociology. One day I decided I wanted to stop by the airport and ask him about flying lessons. Roger had just started running the airport. Basically, E-Town Flying Service had just become the FBO just a few months before that. I got interested. Roger started giving me flying lessons. Roger would drive home from work at Fort Knox. After work at Fort Knox, he'd go to the airport. I would go to the airport after I drove home from Louisville from Naval Ordnance. He'd give me flying lessons. 2.5 months later, I had my private pilot license. And to make things a little quicker, in a year and a half after that, I was a second lieutenant and a pilot in the Air Force. And what that has to do with having a high school teacher certificate or a major in art, I'm not sure. It was a life changer for me. I know Don has a very similar story. We've talked, and I believe our careers are very, very similar. After I retired from the Air Force as a pilot, I was hired by UPS as a pilot. I retired again. I was bored, and I'm now flying a corporate jet, all because of one stop at the E-Town Airport. I thought that was pretty interesting. Thank you, Roger. I think if we look at how many other pilots like us have gone through that same career change just because of E-Town Airport, I think it's very important, and I know quite a few people that have. And to tell the truth, I wouldn't be standing here right now talking about it if I hadn't gone to the E-Town Airport that day. And I'd like to also mention that the same airplane that I soloed while I was taking lessons with Roger is Cessna 150 3236J. Carl soloed it 4 years after I did. What a difference in age for what you've been 10 years. Thank you.
Okay, this is our next slide here. This tells us a little bit about, this is through September, and it tells us about the operation there is that 3,277 trackable operations that we are aware of this year. And there's a lot of takeoff and landings that aren't trackable. And in other words, Don or one of the other local folks who go out there to point out hang in there and take off and land. Those aren't in that numbers, but he also went over the number of car rentals. What was 132 or 100, 200? What's the number there? 236 days. And then for hotels, there's 97 for 196 days. So the economic impact of the airport certainly is significant in the scheme of things. And we believe, truly believe that with the ILS, these numbers are going up. So I think the next slide there is probably one I believe Carl's going to cover for us.
Thank you, Don. If you could go back one slide just a minute, I want to clarify something. The movements that Don was talking about, the 228 jet movements, the 142 turbine aircraft, those are transient movements. That's not Eddie flying around in a 152 or even Carl Pope flying around in a local airplane. Those are people visiting our community. And so the value of an airport like Addington Field to a community like this that is focused on economic development, focused on really the region and the importance of the region to the whole is immeasurable. I get to go to the next slide, and the mayor said that we're going to give a good news report. I want to show you something about what has been done really leading up to the ILS. And these are projects that will make the ILS that we're about to install all that much more valuable because they make the airport that much more usable to the aviation community. Rick Gaines, I'm often reminded that he says that, you know, when they come to look at us and check out this region, they don't arrive on a bus. They arrive in an airplane. So I'm not going to go through all that, like Terry said, all the acronyms and so forth, but what I wanted to point out is the way projects around an airport get funded. The fact is that this community this city has been very proactive about development of the airport. And over the last, since 2008, has put over $200,000 into it, but it's been leveraged into $9.6 million in investment in the airport. That is the way airports across the country are funded, but most people don't understand that. The FAA steps up and makes funds available, and in this case, to the tune of nearly $8 million, and the state has stepped up to the tune of $1.4 million plus to make these projects happen at Addington Field in Elizabethtown. So it's pretty good leverage. Would you say, Charlie? I wish we could get started on projects that were leveraged quite like that. But again, these are the kind of things that that will make Addington Field that much more valuable once the ILS is finally installed. I'd also like to point out that the money that the FAA puts in and the state puts in for all of you who pay income tax, that's not income tax dollars. Those are dollars that are developed through what's called the Airport Development Fund, and that's all through aviation fuel taxes. So it's really a user-payer system that develops these airports. And this city, again, has been very forward-thinking and proactive about leveraging a couple $100,000 into $9.6 million worth of local development. And with that, I think you're ready for the good news report. Is that right? So Mr. ILS will tell you about the very proactive thing the city has also done to make our airport really one of the best airport, general aviation airport.
I really don't know how I got to be called Mr. ILS.
I remember.
Well, maybe. So back in 2013, we had to do a vetting process before we came to the city council and asked for the money for the ILS. We had to make a decision whether that was going to be a good expenditure of funds. So the first thing we looked at was that the FAA at the time was discontinuing ground-based navigation systems for a space-based system. They're still in that process. But right now, the part of their plan to take apart the ILS system is on hold. And they found out that there was a lot of resistance to that most business aircraft have this capability of using an ILS, and the transition they envisioned wasn't going to work. And also these space-based systems could fail while the ground-based systems served as a backup. So they wanted to keep that going. The other thing we had to figure out was, if installed, could our aircraft use the ILS to get low enough to land in bad weather? And a day like today, it's a perfect example of that. So a business aircraft is thinking about coming to E-Town. If the weather's bad enough, they won't even come here if they don't have this ILS to use. And remember, the ILS gives precision guidance to an aircraft The localizer Don talked about was the left and right component. So the aircraft's aimed at the runway, he's up in the clouds, he can't see anything. But he's got a little needle that tells him whether he's left or right of that runway. And the part we're purchasing is called the glide slope, and it's got another little needle, and you keep it centered on a gauge in the aircraft, and it aims right down to the numbers of the airport. And if he can't use that system to come to E-Town today, he'll bypass us and just go on to Louisville. So that's why it was important for us to do. The other thing we need to know is, could they come in low enough? We call it ceiling and visibility. How high are the clouds, and when it's raining, how far can they see forward? And we wanted to make sure that those numbers worked for an ILS. And I've got an example of, this is the chart, you can't really see it, but this is what the pilots use in the aircraft. And this is in a local city, I won't mention the name, but when they installed their ILS, they couldn't go as low, and they couldn't use weather that they couldn't see when they put in the full ILS as they did when they had the localizer. So it's kind of like if you were preparing a NASCAR and you had 100-mile-an-hour tires on it, and all the cars went 200 miles an hour. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. So we wanted to make sure that all the numbers match. So we cut down some trees, and we also went back to the folks at the FAA to draw these charts. We call it an approach plate. And they told us that we would get weather minimums appropriate for the expense we were going to use to put in the ILS. In other words, that business jet coming here is still going to be able to land in bad weather, and not just the opposite. So that was the next thing we looked at. We also noted that the FAA has changed their status. As a matter of fact, 70% of all the ILSs that belong to the FAA are over 20 years old and have to be replaced. So we're going to get a brand new one. And so, there's probably 1,200 that need to be replaced. And if they do 5 a year, it's going to take a long time before they get to ours. So I think we're in good shape there also. So we got the money for 2014, 15, and 16 for a total of $600,000, and then we made the disbursement for the reimbursable agreement. That was the first half of it. And basically purchased the equipment, and then the rest of it is the planning phase. And there has been some delay in going from when we paid the first amount to now, because we still haven't got the ILS in. There were a couple things that the FAA was making a decision on. One of them was how they were going to tie the localizer, that left-right thing at one end of the field to the new antenna that gave the up-down signal. And they couldn't decide if they wanted it to be done by radio or by cable, and now they're going to do it by cable. So the whole thing will be ground-based, and that's a good decision, I think, on their part. And the second thing that we have to understand is that the FAA is going through the largest reorganization from the ground-based to the space-based system. Even though they're not going to be doing away with ILS, all the other components are going together. So it's all a GPS satellite-based, and all the position of all the aircraft, the airliners, how they land, it's all on this new space-based system. And so they have to have specialists that are up on the new stuff, along with specialists that can still manage the legacy equipment and get all that transition from one system to the next at the same time. And I really feel like that's probably causing some delay, because they've got to have maintainers in both systems, and it's just if you start reading about it, it's a huge project they're undertaking. So once we get the ILS in, the FAA is going to maintain it, and that's a good thing. We won't have that expense. And also, that they're going to have to come in and fly it, do a flight check on it, and then they're going to have to get their specialists to draw up a chart like this one so that the pilots can use it. And that's going to take some time in the next year. Any questions?
So it's on the truck. Man.
The day isn't over there. It's supposed to be here today.
Supposed to be.
I'm not sure that's what you all are going to come and tell us tonight.
We are in receipt of an email that says they understand this is route. But like we said, the day's not over yet, we're still looking at it, but we're living in anticipation.
We are all.
Yeah, wouldn't want to, go this far without saying thanks to William, but I'm very confident that the city's commitment to fund that ILS was based a great deal, maybe solely, on Willie Wood's persistence and relationship with a number of people in the city and the city council. Willie, would you want to come up and say something about your efforts in that? Because of two things, we wouldn't be talking about whether it was on the truck or we wouldn't even be talking about the truck if we didn't have the money.
Well, thank you, Don, and, I want to go back and, I know Steve's not here now, but Steve Park, he was, real genuine in this, and, I look back probably even, I was on the city council even back in 2003, we talked about an ILS even back then. And, we weren't sure, if we wanted to get in that business or stay out of that business, but, as time went on, we knew we had to get into the business. And, as we started seeing, all the funds that the FAA and the state and in our local governments putting in there, we knew that, and we teach about it a lot. I called it the last piece of the puzzle. But it truly is, to bring all these things to fruition, we had to have the ILS. But, we talked to Steve, he was the finance director then, and talked to Charlie, and talked with the mayor, and we felt confident that we could do it. So, your old blessing, we did that. I remember, Colonel Steve Parker was at the council meeting, I'm sorry, he was at the airport meeting, that the city was going to fund the ILS. And he told us at that time that it was the first time he ever remembered a city, in the city in the state of Kentucky, ever sponsored the funds for an ILS. So, thank you all, and, we really do feel like, this is going to bring everything together for us, for this community. I think it's going to be a real game changer for this community. So, thank you all very, very much.
All right, the next slide, I guess, here's a couple of quotes, one from Bill Gaines, talks about the importance of education, to existing businesses and businesses, as well as the new prospects. And many times we take for granted that we have an airport, but many times prospects are coming to the community. If you don't have one, they just mark you off the list. So, but our community is home to international and local companies that use the airport weekly, making travel more convenient and efficient. Often the gateway to our community is the airport, and it's a highly valuable economic development. So, great, thank you for that comment. And we have one more from Matt Bevan, who talks about the importance to the overall economy, including agriculture, crops. I know, Roger, when they get a few calls when they have crop dusters in, that there's somebody's trying to put on an air show, and it's really some farmers get his crops treated with pesticides or some other treatment. But, we're certainly glad to have those comments from Rick Gaines and from Governor Evans. They realize the importance of aviation, and certainly the city has put legs on their prayers by putting forth the funding for that. So, next slide, I guess, talk about the installation of the flag slope. We believe that's and part of that flag slope, there is a preparation of the ground for that. We believe that bids will be going out in December to prepare an access road, have to build a security fence around the building, the ILS building that's on site there. We do have that. We also have some other things we're working on about safety area, the T-Ambulance painting, aircraft markings have gotten long in the tooth, they need to be updated. And perimeter fencing, we think that's a huge part of providing security for the airport. And it's gone through the environmental assessment, and part of the early stages of about 30% of the engineering aspect of that. So we expect to work on that. Also, I guess the federal government has like $1 billion grant out there. We're not sure where we are in the paying order of that, but we're going to make every good faith effort to bring those dollars to Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So, and then things change. We first started out with this fence, it was going to cost about $650,000. And once they had some changes at the FAA, they wanted a different height of fence, a different style of fence, and environmental assessment indicated we need to bury it 3 feet in the ground, so where it needs to be buried. So that increases, just doubles the price. But obviously, we have to fund the local state has to fund their local portion of that. So a good part of that's going to come from the federal level or from this grant that they have available out here. Only other thing I have to say, I think, is thanks to the city and Mayor, to you for your longstanding support of the airport. Ron Thomas has been here for many years of this, and has seen a lot of things happen in the community. I wish he was here tonight for me to express that appreciation, but all the rest of the folks, Charlie Bryant, Ed Pope, all the other staff people here with the city, we're all working for the same goals here. That's great to see what we can accomplish when we're all pulling the same direction and not against each other. Be glad to try to answer questions. If it's not too technical, if it's not about the ILS, we do have a guy here that can answer.
Don?
Yes.
Not a question, but just a statement. One point of a community priority left off the list is the regional airport. Thank you and the board and Roger Moss has done an incredible job. We're really proud of you guys. Thank you for everything you guys have done. It's incredible. And we look forward, I think I can speak for everyone in the city council. We look forward to working with you guys further and supporting the airport and making one of the best regional airports and smaller airports in the state. Certainly have my commitment to the rest of us as well.
We appreciate those comments, Bill. We think the city has attempted to be the best of the best in everything that you know about within reasonable terms, even when it takes you stretching yourself, as Walter Howard's quote talked about that. And we think that same philosophy applies at the airport for us to be the very best that we can be. So we're headed in that direction, doing the very best we can. We want you to be proud.
Eric, can you turn on the light?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, Don, I just want to tell you, it was my great pleasure to serve on the airport, both as a citizen and then as a liaison to the city council. We do have the best general aviation airport in this state, without a doubt. There's no doubt. And it was a long time in coming up with a decision for the ILS, oh my gosh, back and forth. But it was the right decision, and it will be. And what a great board. All of you, my gosh, you really worked hard, and I had the pleasure to work with a lot of you and to appoint some of you, and you work really hard, and we really do appreciate it. And by the way, the reason I even got involved and got interested at all is Burgess taught my son to fly, so it just comes on down the line, and probably many, many others, but we appreciate you all so very, very much. Thank you.
To, give you some tangible evidence of what we're saying, we appreciate the efforts that the city does. When it comes down to the phone number, the names of the park, I was there, Johnny on the spot, makes us a priority, makes us real proud of that. Also, you may, once, not too long ago, one of the guys was doing some more in the mountain sinkhole. And here's the city, the department out there assessing, how do we prepare this info. So it's just, it's a great partnership that we have, the opportunity to work together. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate Willie letting us know every time Paul needs something.
You could, make your presentation available to all the council. I think we appreciate that. We're not trying to do our part, not to see it's to be a good point of reference for us. So, I'll forward it out there.
Well, I'm really sincere about the care benefits and their subscription rates, it is, an annual subscription, but $40 for an individual, $75 for a family, if you think about it, that's a pretty good investment. So, it's fun right there. And, right. Or if you give us a bill and you want to mail it to the city clerk, would that be the best?
That would probably be nice.
Okay, I'll do that in the cheap district. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Rick, did you want to add anything since you're here? It's set it off.
I've said that all along. I think that it should be told, and that's less clear that be the best general aviation airport. And I don't have any doubt that we are, because I, like some of these guys that visited Ron, we're not, and it is the gateway to the city for the people that I knew. So I'm proud and happy to be a part of the team.
Thank you. Okay. And some ordinances tonight. In the first reading of ordinance number 31, 2018, closing a portion of the right-of-way known as Altech Drive. We have a motion to read that ordinance.
Second.
Favor? Thank you.
Whereas the city of Elizabethtown desires to support industrial development and the creation of jobs in the community, and whereas Metalsa Structural Products has announced plans to expand their manufacturing facility, be it ordained by the city of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, that from and after the passage, approval, and publication of this ordinance, that a portion of Altech Drive, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, is hereby closed as a public right-of-way pursuant to KRS 82.405, Sections 1 and 2. The Elizabethtown City Council hereby makes the following findings of fact. A, the following property owners are the only property owners on and abutting said portion of right-of-way known as Altech Drive be closed, and those are the Elizabethtown Hardin County Industrial Foundation and Metalsa Structural Products Incorporated. B, written notice of the proposed closing was given to the property owners on and abutting said portion of right-of-way known as the portion of Altech Drive be closed. C, the owners on and abutting said right-of-way known as a portion of Altech Drive to be closed have given their written notarized consent to the closing, and a copy of same is attached hereto as Exhibit B. Pursuant to the findings of fact and to KRS 82.405, the Elizabethtown City Council hereby determines that the portion of right-of-way known as Altech Drive, as shown and described on Exhibit A, should be closed, and that the owners on and abutting said portion of right-of-way known as Altech Drive, the Elizabethtown Hardin County Industrial Foundation, and the Tulsa Structural Products Incorporated do agree to said closing. We have further ordained that the mayor of the city and of her designated she is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this ordinance, including but not limited to the signing of all deeds, subdivision plats, agreements, and documents. This is read the first time on this, the 15th day of October, 2000. Thank you.
Okay, municipal order number 84, 2018, approving incentives to Carbeck LLC. Motion to read the order.
Second.
Those in favor? Thank you.
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the dates set out below, motion to read and adopt the following municipal order, which is made secondary and approved. Whereas the City of Elizabethtown wishes to support the creation of manufacturing jobs in the community, and whereas Carbeck LLC has located in Elizabethtown on Budco Lane and will create up to 50 new jobs, now be it ordered that the City of Elizabethtown approves extending industrial development incentives to Carbeck LLC as follows. State KPI tax incentives, including partial refund of the Elizabethtown occupational license fee in the amount of 1% annually for 10 years for new jobs created based upon approval by the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority, with actual reimbursement annually based on the number of new jobs created. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and her designated she is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect the order, which been adopted and approved this 15th of October 2000.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, motion to adopt the order, please.
So moved. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Others, thank you. Municipal order number 85, 2018, accepting the bid from Churchill McGee LLC for Hardin County Justice Center renovations in the amount of $239,247. Motion to read, please.
Motion.
Second. Those in favor?
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the dates of that below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Whereas the City of Elizabethtown prepared construction documents and received public bids on October 4, 2018 for the renovation of the Hardin County Justice Center at 120 East Dixie Avenue. Now be it ordered that the City of Elizabethtown accepts the bid from Churchill McGee LLC for the Hardin County Justice Center project in the amount of $239,247. Be further ordered that the mayor of the city and her designated she hereby authorize and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order, including but not limited to signing all contracts, obtaining the necessary permits, approving change orders up to the designated amount. The read adopted and approved is the 15th day of October 2020.
Thank you, Dee. Motion to adopt? And municipal order number 86, 2018, approving the contract with HDR Engineering Incorporated for design services for the Haycraft neighborhood. Motion to read the order, please.
So moved.
Those in favor?
Whereas the Elizabethtown City Council desires to operate the community development program under the guidelines of the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is the CDBG. And whereas the City of Elizabethtown has submitted and received approval from HUD for the 2018 through 2019 action plan for street improvements in the Haycraft neighborhood, now be it ordered that the City of Elizabethtown approve the agreement with HDR Engineering Incorporated for engineering design services for the Haycraft neighborhood Phase 5 street improvements in an amount not to exceed $45,000. Be further ordered that the mayor of the city and her designated she is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order, read, adopted, and approved as the 15th day of October 2020.
Motion to adopt?
Motion. Second.
Those in favor? Thank you. Municipal order number 87, 2018, agreement with Metalsa Structural Products Incorporated. Motion. Second. All those in favor? Thank you.
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the dates set out below, motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Whereas the City of Elizabethtown desires to support industrial development and the creation of jobs in the community, and whereas the Tulsa Structural Products Incorporated has announced plans to expand their manufacturing facility, which includes the expansion of their parking facilities, and whereas the Tulsa has proposed to place a pedestrian access tunnel under North Black Branch Road to create a safe pedestrian access for their employees to access their manufacturing facility. Be it ordered that the City of Elizabethtown authorizes and directs the mayor to enter into an agreement with Metalsa Structural Products Incorporated for the construction and maintenance of a pedestrian access tunnel under North Black Branch Road, including provisions for the construction of the tunnel, the construction of a temporary access road, the reconstruction of North Black Branch Road, and the maintenance of the pedestrian access tunnel as attached. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and her representative is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order, including but not limited to the execution of the agreement and any and all notices, documents, easements, and subdivision plans. Read, adopted, and approved as the 15th day of October 2018.
Thank you, Dee. Motion to adopt the order.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. Now, Ed Pope has a very special announcement to make this evening.
We do. We want to make the council aware of recent recognition of one of our employees, Jeff Camp. Jeff serves as our building official in the Department of Planning and Development. He's been on staff since March of 1999. I had the real honor of hiring Jeff at that time and working with him for almost 20 years. He was recently recognized by the Code Administrators Association of Kentucky as a lifetime director. That's a very high honor. Jeff served as their president in 2014, 2016, and the city has greatly benefited from his involvement in that organization. And Jeff, we just wanted to say thanks for those efforts on behalf of the city, and wanted to share that recognition with the council and the public for the job of them.
And I have a special announcement. The city will observe Halloween on Halloween, October 31st. We learned our lesson several years ago, don't mess with Halloween. And I suppose, is it 5 to 8? 5 to 8. Okay.
And Amy Emmett approved of this, right?
Did she really?
We're in the front.
Okay, any information from the council? We're all good. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? None opposed? Thank you.
All right.